which manual should you use? Should you use Team Associated's MGT 8.0 or should you use the ThunderTiger manual? So each have got their pros and cons. The ThunderTiger manual, there's a bit of strange information in here. It tells you to use fuel in your air filter, whereas Team Associated tell you to use proper air filter oil. But then again, Team Associated don't even tell you a thing about how to tune the carb. So maybe they expect you to refer to the dedicated manual for the PRO-50BK, but at least ThunderTiger have got 2 sections in their manual about tuning the carb. The most interesting thing is that they show you a picture of the high and what looks like the mid. But if you look at section C, they're clearly adjusting what would look like to be the mid-speed needle, but when you go to C, it's actually telling you that it's the low. So, you know, you might think, what's going on? Why don't you adjust the low from the low? Why are you adjusting the low from the mid? Well, not all ThunderTiger engines have a low-speed needle. Although the needle is in there, we can see the needle, it's not accessible, and it's actually a 2-piece system. One is the needle, which is all the way in, and then there's a screw holding it all the way in. So you don't adjust that screw. You just do the screw up and then you're done. And then to adjust your low speed setting, you use this one here. That's your low speed adjustment. It's got a lot of names in different Nitro engines. It can be called the mixture control chamber, mixture control valve, mixture metering screw. There's a lot of different names. But in this case here, it's just bringing the little jet. It's just bringing the little jet closer to the needle that is moving. So the jet is the one on the left. That's where the fuel comes out from. The needle goes into the jet to block how much fuel is coming out. So that controls your low and your idle. Your idle gap also controls your idle, but your low speed needle, which is done from here, controls so much of your idle, more than you probably realize. Which is why you set it up with the factory settings, and it tells you the factory settings. There's another section in the back that also tells you the factory settings again. And there's a photo here of a low speed needle, and that does not match this one at all. And there's a lot of ThunderTiger cars that have got this system where the low speed needle is not accessible and is not set from the end of the carb where you would expect it to be. Instead, it just holds a throttle return spring, a very weak spring, but it does the job. So, you know, we're talking monster trucks, buggies, truggies. Many ThunderTigers have got this system. It's not aftermarket, it's not someone changed the carb, it's just how it came from the factory. And it seems Team Associated never used this setup as far as I'm aware. So now you know this. Leave your low all the way done up and then tune using the mid. We can now refer to this as the low if we like. So what would you do? You would set your factory settings. Okay, so low all the way in, the mid, the real low, 6.5 turns out from in, which is ever so slightly out from flush. Your high, 3 turns out from in, which is maybe 1.5 turns in from flush. Okay, you do your idle gap, 0.5 to 1 millimeter or thereabouts. Then you've got your factory settings. You start the car, you warm up the engine, you do once it's really warmed up, you do your high speed passes and you set your high. Once your high is set and you're happy with your high speed passes, and you'll know that the high is good because it's shifting to second gear. So you might even want to do your transmission at this stage as well, your shift point. But then once that high is done, you don't need to ever touch it while we're tuning for today. Because the next one you'll do is your low speed adjustment here. Okay, so you do your low until your throttle response is snappy. if your throttle response is not snappy, keep leaning. If your idle goes up because you keep leaning out your low, use the idle set screw. Lower your idle. So remember, low and idle, you do them together, because you want the truck not to move at idle, but still have snappy response, still idle like a champion. And then once that carb is half to fully open, your low speed needle is doing nothing. It's all the work of the high speed needle. Alright, so it's time to deal with this air leak on the carb. So I've got some silicone. It's just black bathroom silicone. It's not even gasket maker. And what I've done is I've just used a little rod, 2mm rod, and then you can see here, where are we? Here. I've just gone around and around the carb neck. Okay, so I've covered that with silicone. And then on the other side, now you don't put the silicone on the inside of the carb, of the case, because you don't want it going into the engine. But I've absolutely covered the pinch bolts with the black silicone. Hopefully you can see that I haven't done the whole thing. Just done a little bit where the pinch bolts are. The pinch bolt's the one that goes through the side. So the bolt's not in there, but the two clamps are in there. One of them is threaded. So hopefully that stops our air leak where the carb goes in. I've also sealed the back plate with the same black silicone. The manifold was already done. So I need to put some zip ties everywhere, and hopefully no more air leak.